All right, so now we've had a look at how we could improve the solar car. What are some things you learnt from doing this project? So we might just have a think about that for a minute and just think, all right, it's been 4 of you working together to create this car from scratch. Now when you started, you had no idea about any of this. You didn't have any skill. You had skills, but you didn't have much knowledge about how to put it together and all the different components that needed to go together to make the car. So one thing you learnt, Sam, from doing this project?
It's much harder than you think it would be.
It's a much more complex project. Yeah, we knew that at the start. It's only when you go and you participate you realise how complex it is. So complexity of the task surprised you, John?
Well, I learned how to build a solar car.
Is that a useful skill?
Yes, well, kind of. If you're
All right. So
yeah.
how did it? What are some of the things you learned?
How to connect solar panels.
Yeah. Okay, to the car.
Yes.
And what did you need? You know, the solar panels just connecting to the motor don't do a very good job, do they? No. So what did you need? You needed something else. The solar maximizer, which made the power, converted the power from the solar panels into a usable, I guess, power source. I'm not great on that stuff, but it converted into a power source that the motor was able to use more efficiently. Travis, what did you learn?
I learned that the plywood that we were using is actually really strong, because when we dropped it on its nose at the front, it still managed to stay intact.
All right, so that was a wise decision using the plywood because of the strength. Jaden, what did you learn from participating in this project? What have you learned? I think you've learned a lot. Even watching you guys on that day, I think you learned a lot about some things that you didn't know. Soldering, being able to think through problems. You were faced with a fair few problems on that day, and you're able to work together to solve those problems. And that's probably one of the most important things, that as a team, you 4 guys were able to work together to solve those problems and to produce this car and then to deal with the challenges you were faced with. So I think you've learnt to think a lot better. You've learnt to work together, right? And you've learned a lot of stuff, a lot of science stuff, a lot of math stuff, and a lot of TAS stuff about building and measuring and cutting, the bearings, all those sorts of things that you had no idea before. The wiring, getting the solar panels wired in the right sequence so you got power, all those things. So important. So I think you've done a great job and you should be very proud of yourselves. All right, so now it's time to say goodbye to this solar car, to the solar boys. No, we're not going to trash it. We're going to take it apart and we're going to revamp it and make Solar Boys 2 in preparation for the 2014 Sunsprint Challenge.